Good afternoon, everyone, for joining us today. Today is our Progressing Together meeting. Our 1 o'clock meeting is always in English, so thank you for joining us. Flor Reza, who is usually our host, is not with us today. She's out there learning and growing as a professional, so I am your host for this afternoon. My name is Susana Frescas. We will get started this afternoon with some announcements from our Superintendent, Dr. Jeannie Mesa Chavez.
Thank you, Ms. Frescas. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeannie Mesa Chavez. Remember, this is your space. Our Mission Progressing Together meetings are held with the intent of making sure that we give you a topic that is of interest, and we have a special one for you today. We'll start with the announcements. Be advised that we do have Intercession Spring Break coming up, and that is March 7th through the 21st. We do have Intercession the first week, so we do encourage all students, let your parents know, or parents get informed on whether your students have to attend Intercession, so we encourage you. March 7th through the 21st, Intercession and Spring Break. We also are going to be having our school board meetings. We usually have them the day right after our Mission Progressing Together parent meeting, but this time we are having it on the 9th with the intent of having this meeting today, so you wouldn't have to come during the Intercession or the Spring Break. With that being said, we are also having our parent conferences, our parent-teacher conferences. We encourage our students to let their parents know, and parents get informed, ask questions. We always want our parents to be informed about the academic schooling of their children. We do have parent-teacher conferences for Alarcón and Borrego. Those will be held on March 24th. We are also going to be having parent-teacher conferences for Loya and Zambrano on March 29th. So we do encourage you to ask questions. We want to make sure that you're informed about how your child is doing academically. So please join us on those parent-teacher conferences. We do have a special treat with us today. We do have Mr. Horacio Hernandez. He is our technology director, and he'll be talking to us about a lot of technology, but how to keep our kids safe while we have them online using devices. So I'd like to invite my colleague, Mr. Horacio Hernandez, to come over and present.
Thank you, Dr. Mesa. Let me take off my mask. So my name is Horacio Hernandez, and I'm the IT director here at San Elizario I.S.D. Part of my job is to make sure that our students have internet, right? They have connectivity. That's my priority, one of my top job duties. So with that said, with that, it comes responsibilities. And not only at school, but also at home. And at home, most important, because why? We have students, majority of the students have devices at home. So it's important to know the responsibilities that we have as parents, and to make sure that we know what they're doing, and make sure that we have communication, make sure that we know what is it that they're using it for, and most importantly, that they're secured. So I'll go into details in some areas, and I'll explain it more, but if at any point you have questions, please don't hesitate and stop me. Okay, so this is a campaign. This is actually a campaign initiated by President Obama back in 2009. We're in 2022, and granted, right, we went to a pandemic, but it's from 2009. President Obama issued that cyberspace policy review, which tasked the Department of Homeland Security with creating an ongoing cybersecurity awareness campaign called Stop, Think, and Connect. Okay, to help Americans understand cybersecurity and safety online. Stop, Think, Connect challenges Americans to be more vigilant about practicing safe online habits, and encourages them to view internet safety as a shared responsibility at home, in the workplace, and in our communities. And with that, I also want to add the school district, right? Because we do practice much of that cybersecurity ourselves, not only for students, but also for staff and employees. So yeah, that's something very important. So what is the campaign's goals and objectives? It's to raise awareness among Americans about cybersecurity, empower them to be safe online, and educate the next generation of the cyber workforce. So like any job, right? This is new, but the government wants people to be involved. The next generation of students to get into the STEM field and think about going into cybersecurity, because it's not only at home, at school, at work, but also national, because we need to protect ourselves from other countries that, want to hurt us, in any type of cyber threats. So the objectives is to increase and reinforce awareness of cybersecurity, which I'll, delve in more. Work with national organizations in educating the public about cybersecurity. That's part of it. Engage the American public to acknowledge and commit to the shared responsibility of securing cyberspace. Because remember, it's not only responsibilities at home, at work, at school, it's everyone. Promote science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, education to build the cyber workforce. And again, as talking about jobs not even created yet, I mean, that's one of them, but it already exists because cybersecurity and cyber threats are, well and known. So let me ask you some questions as parents. Do your kids know more about the internet and technology than you do? Probably, right? Now, kids nowadays, technology is very intuitive to them, so they know. But as parents, it's also our responsibility to take care of them. So what is cybersecurity? Okay, we'll talk more about that. Do your kids have their own computers? Do they have their own cell phones? What about a music player, video game system, or tablet? Do you set rules for internet use? If so, what are they? What are the main concerns about kids using the internet? We'll go into them and I'll show you examples of how. And again, this is not to scare anybody, but to have awareness of what's happening in the real world, in the cyberspace. Our kids today lead digital lives. Parents of teens, look at this statistic, 41% are notably less than parents of younger children ages 6 to 9, 68% to say they monitor technology usage very closely. That's kind of scary, because we would think that as the kid gets older, they're more curious about getting social media, getting into websites, so on and so forth. But the younger kids are more monitored than the older ones. So I think it should be monitored all across, no matter the age. But as parents, the ones that provide those devices, that connection, that service, it is our responsibility. Parents are just as concerned about someone stealing their child's identity, using information posted online, 60%, as they are about cost of technology and devices, 60%. So they care as much how much the device is, and they're also concerned if their identity it's stolen. I mean, I want to say everybody should be concerned not only with the cost, but also with their identity being stolen, because it does happen. So to go to our next slide. So let's get us started. Okay, so I just show you the objectives and what the campaign is all about. But let me give you some suggestions of what you can do at home and have those start having that practice of cybersecurity at home. Create an open and honest environment for discussing online behaviors and security risks. Again, I mean, it's like anything, right? I mean, communication should be open, communication should be allowed, and there should be some time allowed to talk about, issues like this, just like we talk about everything else. But cybersecurity should be part of those conversations as parents and our children. So have an be approachable, because sometimes as students, do something wrong, then they get reprimanded and then they don't want to do it anymore, right? But know that there's mistakes to be done, and as long as we learn from them, I mean, that's okay. Start conversations regularly about practicing online safety and focus on offering guidance instead of trying to control children's online behavior. I mean, that kids will do, if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. But I think it's to our best interest to teach them the right things, right? If they do it out of deliberately, then that's a different story. But let's try to prevent them. Let's try to educate them. What's out there and what to look for. Emphasize the concept of credibility and encourage children to proceed with caution. Not everything they see on the internet is true, and people on the internet may not be who they appear to be. Talk with children, and especially teens, about the importance of creating and maintaining a positive online identity. That is very true. We'll go into phishing. Now they call it catfishing, where older people, make it like they are a nice lady, and that's dangerous. I mean, because you don't know the motives behind, the reason, but it's scary because I think I've seen a show where they do catfishing. So, it's fishing and then now it's catfishing. So, and then another thing is that not everything that you see in the internet, it's true. I mean, I was relating that Google, when you go to Google and you search, climate change, is climate change happening for reals? Google will give you and support you what you want to search, right? But if I search, is climate change a myth? They will probably give me content that it's a myth. So Google is not there to provide you the truth. Google's business is to give you results. So that's why we have to be careful. And it's like TV, it's like science fiction. Sometimes you have to check your sources and where you get your information from. So you cannot just be, trusting everything, every source that you get, because you have to know your source. So look at the source first. Watch for changes in behavior. If your child suddenly avoids the computer or smartphone, it may be a sign that he or she is being bullied online. So it's like, I remember when I was a kid, I didn't want to go to school because I was being bullied, right? So the same thing with the cell phone. You don't want to go back to the cell phone. Why? Because somebody's speaking on you. And that's where the conversation should start happening. That's when the open dialogue between parent and student and child should happen. Because we want to know whether it's cell phone or not, bullying is wrong. Review security settings and privacy policies for websites your child uses. So some of the websites, we have to understand that they're there for money, right? And some of them might not sell you stuff like a game and stuff, but they do collect information or they track your device. So that's where you have to be careful, because that's how they make money. Okay, nothing in this world is free, right? Somehow, somewhat, they're making something, and that's what we have to check. And we'll go into details more later. Protect all internet-enabled devices, including cell phones, mobile phones, and tablets. Yes, not only computers, it's mobile phones, tablets, game consoles, smart radios, stuff like that. Okay, so let's talk about cyber ethics, predators, and bullies. Cyber ethics help internet users understand what type of online behavior is right and wrong. Okay, so we try to instruct that as part of being a digital citizen, how to behave properly online. Cyber predators are people who search online for other people in order to use, control, or harm them in some way. So, is there such a thing? Yes, there is. Cyberbullying is the electronic posting of mean-spirited messages about a person, often anonymously. Yeah, so it's like bullying, but in the internet, okay? So let's go into some statistics here. Did you know that 1 in 5 U.S. teenagers who regularly log onto the internet say that they have received an unwanted sexual solicitation, but only about 25% tell a parent or an adult about it? That's scary. That is scary, but it does happen. So that's where we have to get involved, and that's what we have to know. What kind of social media? What are they posting? Are they blogging? Are they uploading videos in YouTube? So on and so forth. 7 in 10 young people are victims of cyberbullying, and 37% experience cyberbullying on a frequent basis. Oh, that's the statistic to remember. That they're probably a little bit less than half a chance that they will get cyberbullied. So there's some tips to share with kids. Keep personal information private online, including the names of your family members, your school, your telephone number, and your address. Again, this is the internet. The internet is it's out. So anything that you post, anything that you do, it's probably permanent. And that's where you don't have to divulge that information if it's not necessary. Okay? Think twice before you post or say anything online. Once it's in cyberspace, it's out there forever. I was giving an example in the morning about, I read an example of somebody posting years before something online. They applied for a job, and he was a top candidate, right? And I guess this company was a technology company, and they searched for his history, and they found that posting, and because of that posting, he wasn't able to get the job. So yeah, talking about being there forever, yes, it happens. Stop any questionable online behavior only do and say things online that you would do in real life. It's easy behind the desk, right, in a computer, and you send out an email, send out a message that sometimes it sounds rude, and that's sometimes that's part of digital citizenship, right? That sometimes it misinterpreted, but in reality, it was intended for the right purpose. But don't just because you sit behind the desk or the student or the child doesn't give the authority to behave otherwise. It's like the real thing. The consequences are still the same. Speak up. If you see something inappropriate, let the website know and tell an adult you trust. Don't stand for bullying online or off. Again, you can report Facebook's, Instagram. You can report accounts that are there as a bullying, inappropriate content stuff. So that can be done. Okay. So let's talk about identity theft. Identity theft is the illegal use of someone else's information and personal information in order to obtain money or credit. Why would you steal a child's personal information? Because it sells. In the black market, it sells. I don't remember the exact amount, but for every account or every social security number, first name, last name, date of birth, they're around $200 each. So, don't quote me on that, but I've heard that it's very well paid in the black market. So in 2012, this again, 2012, children ages 19 and under made up 6% of all identity theft cases. 6%. That's, a lot. So some tips for families: don't use the same password on multiple websites. That way, if the hacker hacks one account, whether it be in a bank, an email account, they don't have the same access to another website, okay? Choose your password that means something to you and you only. So make it hard, make it complicated. I'll always reiterate to our users here in the district, don't use the welcome 123 password, 1234567. Make it hard. I mean, the hacker's purpose is to hack the account, right? So if he's gonna try, let's make it complicated. Lock your computer and cell phone when they are not in use. That's very important at home, at work, and here at school. Many times I've walked around and I see people not in their offices and their computer just being open. That's a security violation because, if I was somebody else, I could just sit, open Outlook or open whatever, have Teams access, whatever, and change because why? I'm logging in, it's logged in as that person. And then the responsibility goes back to who? To that person, okay? Lock your computer, yeah, that one. Don't share personal information without knowing exactly who is on the receiving end. Use strong passwords with 8 characters or more in a combination of letters, numbers, and symbols. Kids should not share their password with anyone other than parents. That's a no-no. We emphasize here in the district not to share passwords, not to write them down. That's the clean desk rule. You don't write them Post-its. You don't write them and put them and tag them there because, students, they know how to get a hold of them. Another thing that I noticed, and I'm guilty of it, is teachers that type with one finger, and if you know how to follow it, you can figure out the password. So make sure that if you're one of them, don't type the password in front of a student. Type it on the side, because then they can figure it out. Students are very smart. Also, don't share personal information without knowing who's at the receiving end. Many times here in the district, we get emails about people requesting, hey, check out this link, submit because there's a job opportunity, blah, blah, blah. And I want to say we do a good job here in the district because those get reported to us. But, the intention of that is to click the link and then, boom, upload your information, which at that point, if it's submitted, it's out of our hands and, you probably can have to change your password. Or if you share more bank information, you probably can have to close the account, move your money, because then it's probably they're gonna be messing with your bank account. So don't just send information because somebody requested it. If you don't know who the sender is, question it. And even we get emails from accounts that have been compromised. Ask them, give them a call. You know what? Did you request a gift card from me for $50? And we had this happen here in the district where somebody thought it was a principal with a different Gmail account impersonating the principal, and they requested 3 gift cards. They went ahead and purchased them, And then they follow up by replying. They send and scan the image of the gift card. Well, guess what? They already have them. They have them. So lesson learned. I mean, even if you have to call, I mean, normally who asks for gift cards, right? Call them and make sure. Did you request it? And then if they do, pues if you still want to do the favor, go for it. But if not, then you know what to do. So let's talk about fraud and phishing. Okay, we spoke a little bit about them earlier. But fraud is the intentional perversion of truth in order to induce another to part with something of value or to surrender a legal right. Phishing is a scam by which an email user is duped into revealing personal and confidential information to the scammer can use illicitly or fraudulently. So again, they want your account to what? To do something illegal, to get your bank account, to get money, to steal, to impersonate you. Some statistics. Did you know a study shows that 30% of teens have admitted to meeting someone online who claimed to be someone they're not, using fake photos and fake identities. That actually does happen. In 2012, 1 in 40 reported cases of identity theft were adolescents ages 18 and below. I mean, right? Who would want that personal information? But it does happen. So some tips for families. Most organizations, banks, universities, and companies, etc., don't ask for your personal information over email. Beware of requests to update and confirm your personal information. They don't. Actually, they do it for security purposes. And they neither call you, because if you want to update something like your address, normally the conversation starts from our end to the bank company or whatever company we're working with. They don't normally start the other way. So you always have to question that. I mean, even to the point where I suggest that if you get and you think it's legit, hang up and call them back. That way you know where you're dialing. And that way they don't, because some of them are very good con artists where they can, socially manipulate you to release that information. Don't open emails from strangers and avoid clicking on links for unfamiliar sites. If you think an offer is too good to be true, then it probably is. And I'll even take it a step further, not only from senders you don't trust. We've gotten a lot of instances recently where accounts from other districts, other region centers have been compromised, and they send a link. And the email is legit, but that means the account got compromised. But then again, if you don't request a job posting, if you don't request a budget change or your direct deposit change, don't do it. I mean, why would they question it? Why would they want to know, right? So question it. And even if you want to share it, it's better for you to call them and be double sure that that's what they're requesting. But if they don't, let's say you know the person, at least tell them, hey, you know what, I got an email, did you send it? Well, no. Well, then you know what, your account has been compromised. And you help them restore that access, because what they do, once they figure out your password, they have access to your email, okay? Again, make sure you change your passwords often and avoid using the same password on multiple sites. Again, reiterating the same tip. Always enter a web address by hand instead of following links. So, I mean, it's cool. I mean, that's why we have URLs, right? Because you click and you go up there, and that works. But normally now with Bitly and all those shortened URLs, they can be masking something else. So you have to be careful. So they always suggest that instead of going to Bank of America from a URL, type Bank of America or Wells Fargo or whatever the case may be. Okay. Let's talk about mobile security, which is your cell phone. A study by Pew Research Center found that almost all Americans, 90%, now have a cell phone and 58% own a smartphone. And this is back in 2012. So imagine now, I want to say those numbers are, more closer to 100, and the smartphone like higher than that. Almost all aspects of our life are now connected to the internet and our mobile devices. Americans are increasingly using their phones for banking, online shopping, and social media. The more we travel and access the internet on the go, the more risks we face on our mobile devices. And I was using the analogy of doors, right? So if you have a home and you only have one door, well, the risk of somebody coming in is through that door, right? But if you open another door and another door and another door, well, you just multiply it by that many. So it's the same thing with accounts online. If you have a bank, which I'm not saying I'm against it, but you have to be aware. Don't create accounts just to create them. If you're gonna create them, keep them for a purpose. If they don't, then just cut them and just delete them. Otherwise, you're just leaving more doors open or ways to access somebody to come in. So be careful. Don't just create because you got a new account, just because they offer it to you for free. Be skeptical about it, and don't go into if you don't need it. So some tips for securing mobile devices. Think before you connect. Before you connect to any public Wi-Fi, confirm the name of the network and the exact login procedures to ensure that the network is legitimate. So, I mean, there's people out there that put out a hotspot, a Wi-Fi, and it's open, and it honestly just offer internet. But if you don't know who's offering it, then I'll be kind of like skeptical about it, because then what's the purpose, right? Nobody gives anything for free. So if you connect for free and you start navigating the internet, they're capturing all that information. The websites that you visited, the usernames that you entered, the passwords that you use, and they're writing it to a database that later they can use for something else. So you have to be careful. I mean, those unencrypted Wi-Fi connections, you have to be skeptical. Now, if you go to Starbucks, if you go to Walmart, and you just want to navigate the internet without entering any personal information, then I suggest that. But the moment you enter a bank account, credentials, an email, something like that, then yeah, you have to be careful, because then again, those are open Wi-Fis. Okay, so somebody that can know what they're doing, they can connect to the same Wi-Fi and they can read what you're entering. Okay. Guard your mobile device. In order to prevent theft, unauthorized access, and loss of sensitive information, never leave your mobile device unattended in a public space. That's correct. That's the same thing with the computers, right? If you just leave it open, well, I have access to anything you have installed. So be careful, be cognizant about it, shut it down, close it, and more than that, don't leave your cell phone in the public, right? You always carry it with you for that purpose. Keep it locked. Always lock your device when you're not using it. Use strong pins and passwords to prevent others from accessing your device. Same principle. Update your mobile device software. Keep your operating system software and apps up to date, which will improve your device's ability to defend against malware. So that's why they do it. They do it for features and other, but more than that, for security purposes. Now cell phones are equipped with chips that they care. The sole purpose is not to take away from the task from the main processor. They have a different chip just for the security processor, and those are the ones that they do it for security purposes. So keep it up to date, put strong passwords. And then again, only connect to the internet if needed. If don't, then don't. Know your apps. Be sure to thoroughly review the details and specifications of an application before you download it. Delete any apps that you are not using to increase your security. Any app is in your cell phone. Even if it's free, if it's a free game, they're there. I mean, they either show you videos so you can buy it, download the next one. But if you're not using it, delete it. You don't need it. It takes up space. Plus, it's another window for somebody to come in. It's another security portal that you can come in. So just delete it. And again, it's not to scare you off, but I mean, if it's not needed, just delete it. Okay? So part of the campaign is also not only to talk about the threats and whatever's happening in the internet, but also to talk about the next page, cyber education. Okay, so part of the campaign is to also promote science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM education among students. To help keep our computers and our nation's network safe, we need more cybersecurity professionals. To do that, we need students who have the skills in science, technology, engineering, and math. And then it gives out a website for more information. But yeah, that's a new field. I mean, it's not as new, but now more and more we need more cybersecurity professionals that, as you can see, not only at home, at work, at school, but the nations. If you know politics, the last elections, there were claims that Russia invaded or hacked into our network to modify the ballots, whatever. But those are conversations that can actually happen. So dedicated individuals that are professionals in cybersecurity and they know what they're doing, and they can scan and see, any abnormal traffic. That's what the government promotes more and more. And then resources that I shared available to your family is the OnGuard Online Gov. This website is run by the Federal Trade Commission. It's one of the stop shop for online safety resources available to parents, educators, and kids. I mean, again, the government keep reinforcing it through a different branch. Cyber Tip Line, the congressionally mandated Cyber Tip Line, which is part of the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, receives online child solicitation reports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Submit at that number. So again, the government giving us access to submit and report any abnormalities or cyber threats that we might get that we can report. The Project iGuardian is a DHS, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The ICE is one of the leading federal law enforcement agencies that investigates crimes involving child pornography and the sexual exploitation of minors. Project iGuardian provides resources to help children and teens stay safe online, and then there's the link. But then again, believe it or not, that's actually happening. It happens and it's done. Probably not in the normal internet, but there's other places like the dark web where it happens. That's like the dark market of the internet, and stuff like this does happen. So the government knows, and that's why they want to push more and more this cyber security knowledge and awareness. And then again, calling everybody to action, right? Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility that all Americans should embrace in their communities to keep the nation secure in the 21st century. And then invites everybody to become an advocate in the community to help educate and empower the American public to take steps to protect themselves and their families online. And then it gives you different examples how to get involved, become a friend of the campaign, download and distribute the Stop, Think, Connect materials, brochures, bookmarks, posters in your neighborhood and communities, lead or host a cyber awareness activity in your workplace, school, recreation, or worship, discuss the importance of cybersecurity with your friends and family, inform your community about the Stop, Think, Connect campaign and other resources available, blog about your post, the issues of cybersecurity and Stop, Think, Connect campaign, get schools and communities, organizations involved, and inform on cybersecurity. The approach that we want to take now with the whole devices and students, is more to become better digital citizens in using those devices. So on our behalf as a school, we want to put that curriculum out there. So just like we do it here, every year we have to get certified on cybersecurity. Students also go through some kind of curriculum that makes them better and better at behaving online, using their equipment for the right purposes, so on and so forth. And that's part of the the digital citizenship curriculum. And then last, security, cyberspace starts with you, starts with me, starts with all of us. So with that, the intention of this presentation is to bring awareness, not to scare anybody, but just to know, for all of you to know that, there's real things happening out there, and we have to be aware, we have to communicate, we have to have those lines of communication open with our students, with our child, with our children, and make sure that we let them know that just like anything, the internet is not a scary place, but it should be done in a careful manner, and that we use it for the right purposes, okay? At this time, I don't know if you have any questions. Not all of them at the same time, just one. So thank you.
So that parents know that.
And I'll pass
we're gonna be
the
getting in there.
microphone to Ms. Frescas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that presentation, very informative. Parents, just to let you know, in your packets, you do have a couple of papers in there. First of all, you have your El Pasoans Fighting Hunger schedule. You also have a form on advice and recommendations that give great advice. Some information on the San Elizario County Animal Welfare Department, as well as, very important for us, the evaluation for today's event. So if we can get all of you to submit this to us so that we can know what we can do better, what we can do different, and how we can better serve our community. And now I will hand it over to Dr. Mesa Chavez. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Frescas. I'd like an applause for Mr. Horacio Hernandez. He's given us a lot of great information for you parents at home. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We do appreciate you. We want you to know that our meeting today was recorded in Spanish this morning and in English this afternoon, and so you will be receiving a s'more information that has both the English and Spanish version along with all the documents that were distributed today in the event that you were not able to come to the meeting. With that being said, we know you could be anywhere, but you choose to click on or come into our meeting, so we appreciate you. And remember, this is Mission Progressing Together. Thank you for being here.